Do you ever feel like you're being pulled in too many directions? Like you have so many talents but you don't know which one to focus on? Well, I definitely feel like that sometimes. And because of that, today I decided to talk about the pressure of being multi-talented. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Khalifa Kimon. I am a 22-year-old architecture student who is also a photographer and a model. On my channel, I share the life of an architecture student along with creative stuff that falls under modeling or photography or just stuff along those lines. If you are interested in that, then this is the space for you. So you can go and check out my channel. Anyways, in today's video, we will be doing something a little bit different, getting a little bit, vulnerable, I guess. So yeah, as I said, we will be talking about the pressure of being a multi-talented person. Okay, so just let's get into it.
Been stressed for so long, so stuck in my own way. So I'ma enjoy this moment. It's the day that the Lord has made.
The first thing that I will be touching on is the first time I realized I was a multi-talented individual. I would say when I was in primary school, even though I was never much of a active student in primary school, I did realize that I could sing really well. Needed work obviously because nobody burns great, but yeah, I realized that I could sing, and I also realized that me never have two left feet. Me could have do one like a 1-2 step, so I could dance. As a matter of fact, I knew I could dance from basic school because I remember doing JCDC. Right. So dance, I remember that. Yeah. So JCDC in basic school doing dancing, and then I don't think I was singing until like primary school. So yeah, around primary school those two came together and I was like, oh okay, cool. I never really did much. As I said, I wasn't the active student in primary school. However, when I got to high school, I was in the choir. And when I got to high school, I realized that I was also interested in arts. So you see all that coming together now. Singing, dancing, both the visual and performing arts, I was very much interested in. And when I was in high school, probably about grade 9, 10, that's when I realized that I was also interested in photography. So you see all of that just coming down, realizing that I am, interested in multiple things. And at that point, probably from like grade 9, I wasn't sure of what I wanted to become, but I knew for a fact that I wanted to do more than one thing. So I was definitely sure about that. Because of that, especially in grade 10, grade 11, C-sec time and all of that, I was also interested in sports. I had started doing discus. Yeah, someone was really interested in it. So I was doing discus at the time. I was doing visual arts after school, and I was also doing choir. Never do anything related to dance in school or in high school, right. So those three things I was doing, and it got a bit overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. And eventually I had to drop sports because CXC is coming around the corner. You have to focus on your studies and all of that. And then eventually I had to drop choir because I realized I couldn't manage so many things. And I was also doing CXC for visual arts, even though I was doing it after school. So that was one other additional thing. So all that coming together, realizing that it's gonna be a tough one. I think that's when I started to look at things differently in life, where career was concerned, where interests was concerned, hobbies and all of that was concerned. Like I realized that there are so many things out there that I would want to do, still want to do and still want to try, and it can be a bit overwhelming, but that's the pressure of it. I honestly feared that I wasn't doing enough sometimes, you know, moving on from high school, going into because I didn't do sixth form, so I went straight into community college, and I didn't really do much there other than, I don't know, studies. Yeah, I didn't really do much there, but I ended up finding myself there, you could say that. Moving on from community college, getting my associate degree in architecture and construction technology, I went on to Edna Manley College, and that's where the creative side of me came out. Like, it came out, it stood tall, right? So when I went to Edna Manley College, didn't do any singing. That's not like very surprising to a lot of people. I did not go to Edna Manley to study music. I went there to study photography, fine art photography, right? However, based on how the visual art school is set up, you have to do other forms of art, right? So I did a bit of painting, I did a bit of drawing, and then I did an elective over dance school. So, you know, the creative juices were flowing, they were running, and I was just so excited. But then when the photography part came in now, I was like, okay, this is something that I really want to do. It's not just a hobby for me, and it's something that I want to expand in and do more of. At the beginning of Edna is when I also started modeling, right? And modeling and photography kind of works hand in hand, so they both help out each other. I would model for my photography friends, and you know, I would do other things, and for photography I would learn posing and, you know, lighting, and just learning simple things that would help those two categories work hand in hand, right? So I was going up, I was feeling good, you know, right? But one thing I haven't mentioned as yet is architecture, right? So how I knew I wanted to do architecture: when I was at high school, when I did technical drawing for the first time, that would have been grade 9, I believe, and I immediately fell in love. Honestly, I don't know what it was about drawing lines on a paper, or just having it be so neat and crisp and clean. I don't know what it was, but I loved it. Okay, I loved it. And at first I didn't pick up that architecture is what I wanted to do. At first I knew that I wanted to do something in the construction field, so I started doing research, and I realized that I like land surveying, right? When I went to Portmore Community College, I did a bit of land surveying. Hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it. I did a little bit of quantity surveying, and I realized that I like that. However, that had too much maths, too much calculations, doing bill of quantity and one bag of other things. So I say, you know what? No. I say, what does technical drawing using AutoCAD, all of that fall under? That comes back to architecture. So I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to go after. And I started doing my research, starting watching YouTube channels and all of that. And I absolutely fell in love. I started looking at buildings differently and all of that, and I just fell absolutely in love, right? So by this time, when I was at Edna Manley College, a lot of people would say, why did you go to Edna if you weren't going to do a bachelor's there? Or why did you go to Edna if it's architecture you wanted to do? Because I did not get in. I applied after Portmore Community College. I applied to UTech, and because of some missed documents, which was on my part, it was my fault, I did not get in, right? So I was going to wait one more year and then reapply, but I didn't do that because I ended up doing an associate degree at Edna Manley College. So yeah, long story short. Anyways, after leaving Edna, getting my associate degree in fine art photography, and, you know, just enjoying the space of having creatives around me, creative minds, and stepping into architecture school, trust me, it was a big difference. Yes, there are a lot of creative people at architecture school. However, the dynamic between an art school and an architecture school is completely different, right? Anyways, with all of that, starting architecture school, I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do because architecture school is so demanding, and wanting to do modeling stuff, go to castings, go to fashion shows or art galleries or whatever, or doing shoots as a photographer, going out or building up a clientele. I was not able to focus on that because at this moment architecture school was the main, or is the main priority, right? So it got a bit overwhelming. However, I decided that I would just take a break from photography and modeling and just focus on school, and that's exactly what I did. So I focused on school for a while, and I decided that in that focus I decided that I wanted to start YouTube. I've always wanted to do YouTube, and as I stated in my welcome to my channel video, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I just didn't know what to focus on at the time. Again, as a creative, as a multi-talented person, there are so many things that I am interested in. Don't even get me started on the natural hair content stuff. Like, don't even get me started on that. That's a whole another category all by itself. So I started YouTube, and I'm like, how can I put all of these things together, right? Because at this point it's getting overwhelming now, because I still want to pursue photography, I still want to pursue modeling. I'm already, an architecture student, and I want to put out hair content as well, right? So I'm like, how do I do these things? How do I know what to prioritize? How do I know what to put first? And all of those questions keep going over and over in my head like a record, and I was like, pause. And I am the type of person that is very good at organizing things. Like, I like organizing things, setting up times and schedules and all of that. That is that's something I like to do. So what I started to do is look at all the things that I want to do, and then look at all the things that I'm able to do, because you have the dream and then you have the reality, because a lot of things you have to budget, all of that, right? So this is how I approached the things that are interested in, right? So I know that school is the most important right now, and architecture school is very demanding. So I was like, okay, how can I incorporate photography and school? I was like, okay, I know a lot of students. There are a lot of students on the CSA building. We're starting over, basically, where photography is concerned. We're starting over, so we have to build up a portfolio. Why not use the people that I know to do photo shoots to build back up my portfolio? So right there, photography and architecture is going hand in hand, because I can do shoots at school, or I can do shoots close to school, but at the end of the day I will always have a model because I know people, right? Cool. Now when it comes on to modeling now, it's a little bit trickier because castings are not at my school. So how can I step out and say, okay, this is something, how can I approach it, basically, is what I'm saying. So what I do, if it's a casting where I can send my portfolio, my modeling portfolio, then I do that. I haven't been to any castings since the year has begun. However, I'm aiming to go to castings, but what I've done already is I have revamped my model portfolio. I've upgraded my digitals and all of that because I'm getting ready to step out there, right? I'm also going to start doing back photo shoots, meaning me as the model, and with my photographer or other photographers, collabing with them to push myself out there, my brand Khalifa Kimoon out there, right? So sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. However, sometimes all you have to do is just hit pause, take a breath, take a step back, and just organize. Time management is everything. There are some days when you're going to have to put in 50% in or there are some days when I have to put in 50% in architecture school, 20% in YouTube, and then 10% in photography, and then the rest of percentage is time for myself, resting, you know, regular routine stuff. So you just have to figure out what works for you, and that's exactly what I've been trying to do, or that's exactly what I'm doing now. And yes, there are going to be days when things don't go your way, because life do be lifing, but you just have to try. You go after what you want, be determined, and love it. Do it for you. If you're not doing it for you, then it don't make no sense. If you don't love it, if you don't have a passion for it, then it don't make no sense, because most of the time it's going to feel like work. And if you already have work doing, and then you're adding creative passions on that, and you feel like those are work as well, then there's gonna be this burnout, drained person that is mentally, emotionally, and physically overworked and drained. So love what you do, love how you do it, and find what works for you is really what I came to say, because I understand that it can be very depressing as a creative, trying to do so many things, especially if they're not working out or if they're not lifting off the ground. It can be really depressing. However, we just have to find what works for us. Really and truly, we just have to find what works for us and just take one step at a time. So with that said, do you guys ever feel pressure too, and how do you handle it? Leave your response right down in the comments. I am looking forward to hearing from you guys, because I know how it can get. Trust me, I know how it can get. But this is the end of this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.